Tori is there. So welcome, Tori. Tori is one of the inspiring outdoor educators. She works in New York, Wilton Wildlife Park, and she has designed many programs for students' outdoor activities, and she is one of the best environment educators in New York. So, Tori,
thank you.
Yeah, Tori, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tori. I'm one of the environmental educators for Wilton Wildlife Preserve and Park, and we are located at the town of Wilton in New York. We are a nonprofit organization, and we have a very unique partnership with land-owning partners, including the DEC, Saratoga County, the Nature Conservancy, and the town of Wilton. And with them, we work to do three different things. So our mission is to conserve and protect ecological systems and natural settings while providing opportunities for environmental education and outdoor recreation. Now, we handled the first part by working directly with the Department of Environmental Conservation in assisting in the protection and conservation of a very unique species, the endangered Karner blue butterfly. So that's a lot of fun that we get to do with that, including educational programming, picking seeds out in the fields for the wild blue lupin, their host plant, many other things as well. We also have over 25 miles of trails here at the preserve, which we provide cross-country skis or snowshoes. Obviously, you can hike on them as well. We do a bunch of different things with outdoor recreation. And the third is education, which is my responsibility as the education coordinator. So a lot of what I do is create educational programming and content for all ages. We have public programming at the preserve, including interpretive hikes. Sometimes we do crafts. Other times we are digging in the pond for aquatic species and identifying them. But we also do programs in classroom and field trips as well. So being our last tier, or our last part of our mission, this has been the most affected by COVID. And so we've had to switch gears a lot. So a lot of what we're doing now is virtual programming, and we're getting people involved, new communities involved that normally we wouldn't be able to reach, and teaching with them as well. So if we found, rather than stopping or slowing down on our education, we're continuing and we're getting even stronger at it and reaching new communities who maybe have not heard of Wilton Wildlife, or the topics that we speak about or things that we teach. So I do have a video today that I can share with you. And this is a video that we had created to teach people during our Wildlife Festival week. And that was, so we have a program each year, a big festival where we raise money for Wilton Wildlife Preserve and Park, but mostly what we do is we put on a big event for people to get out and enjoy the Karner blue butterfly. Fortunately, we weren't able to do that this year. We made it virtual, so we were able to create a different video or a different program each day of the week, and I'm going to share one of those with you today on aquatic wildlife and exploring the pond, and how we were able to adapt a program that we were able to do in person and teach people in person to doing something online. So here is that. So I'm going to play that.
My name is Tori. I'm one of the environmental educators for Wilton Wildlife Preserve and Park. At Wilton Wildlife, our mission is to protect ecological systems and natural settings while providing opportunities for environmental education and outdoor recreation. Today, as a part of our virtual Wildlife Festival week, we're at Delagan Pond on Scout Road to discuss all the interesting animals that live here and how pollution might affect them. Are you ready to get started? Me too. Let's begin. Habitat. What does this word mean? A habitat is a place where a plant or an animal lives and where it gets everything it needs to survive. A habitat must provide 4 basic things for a plant or an animal to live there. Can you guess what they are? The first is food. Food is what keeps us going. Food provides us energy to do all of our daily activities. We as humans eat every day. Other animals like the North American water snake can go months without food. The point is, everyone's gotta eat. The second is water. No living thing can survive very long without water. Luckily, here at the pond, they have plenty of it. The third is shelter. These animals need a place to hide and to rest. While we rest in our beds, animals in the pond might find shelter under logs, in the mud, or hiding in the vegetation. The last one is tricky. It's space. We can't all live on top of each other, could we? Animals need space to move around, find food, stretch, and other activities. All the animals living in the pond receive each of these things. Some of the animals that live there include painted turtles, salamanders, dragonfly nymphs, snails, and much more. All of these animals have special adaptations to live in the water. Have you heard the word adaptation before? An adaptation is a change a plant or an animal makes to help them survive better in their habitat. These changes don't happen overnight. They take a very, very long period of time. For example, a giraffe used to have a smaller neck, but in its habitat, the trees were too tall for them to reach and eat their food, the leaves. Over many thousands of years, they have adapted, made small changes by having a slightly longer neck so that they can reach their food and survive better. Animals that live in the pond have adapted their bodies to help them survive in the water. Fish have adapted by developing gills instead of lungs. Gills allow them to breathe underwater, which is very helpful if you live in it. While humans have to hold our breath and come up for air, fish can stay underwater. This prevents them from having to spend more time coming up for air and risk being caught by predators. Frogs have adapted to have webbed feet. Webbing is the skin between their long toes. Unlike our toes, which allow us to balance and run on land, their webbed feet allow them to push water away from them and swim faster. Other animals like turtles and ducks also have webbed feet. Watch how this turtle moves as he tries to swim. Is his webbed feet helping him? Think of webbed feet kind of like flippers. Have you worn flippers before? Divers use flippers to help them swim in the water better, just like our frogs and turtles. Frogs have different adaptations, depending on how old they are in the life cycle. A life cycle is the stages the animal goes through during its life, from baby to adult. A frog's life cycle starts with an egg. Frogs lay their eggs soft and jelly-like. Unlike a chicken egg that you would find in the fridge, they don't have a hard outer layer and need to be laid in the water in order to survive. While frog eggs are laid in clusters, toad eggs are actually laid in long strings. Once they hatch, they become a tadpole. A tadpole spends all of its time in the water, so it has adaptations like gills to breathe and a long flat tail to swim better. As it grows, the tadpole grows the back legs, then the front legs, slowly losing its tail and growing a pair of lungs to prepare for life on land, until finally they hop off as a fully formed frog. As you can see, they look very different from their younger versions of themselves. This is because they go through the process of metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is the process of transformation from a young form to an adult form in 2 or more stages. Humans do not go through metamorphosis because our bodies look exactly the same way as we were when we're born. We have 2 legs, 2 arms, a nose, eyes, ears, but animals like a frog or a butterfly change the way they look throughout their life. Adult frogs do not have tails like their young form, a tadpole. Can you think of other animals that also go through metamorphosis? Butterflies certainly go through metamorphosis, but the one that I'm thinking of is a dragonfly. We usually think of them looking like this, but they look very different throughout their entire life. Dragonflies lay their eggs in the water, which hatch into something called a nymph. These not-so-cute creatures live in the water for up to 4 years. As you can see, they look very different than what we're used to. When they're ready to become a dragonfly, they climb out of the water, find a place to dry out their hard exoskeleton, and after a couple weeks, they'll emerge as an adult dragonfly. At the pond, you can find many different species. All of the species that I've described in this video can be affected by water pollution. Things like eutrophication can kill off an entire ecosystem. Eutrophication is an ecosystem's response to the addition of nutrients to a body of water, like nitrogen and phosphorus, and it's not pretty. These increased nutrients levels can come from fertilizer. Fertilizer provides extra nutrients to the soil to help plants grow. When added to water by runoff coming from farms, gardens, or sewage systems, it causes an explosion of phytoplankton growth. We call this an algal bloom. When the phytoplankton dies, it breaks down and uses all of the oxygen in the water. Some of the animals that live in these aquatic environments might be able to come up for air, but others can't. Which animals do you think face the most risk of eutrophication? Animals like fish that breathe underwater or salamanders that can breathe through their skin are just a few. Other things, like a change in pH, can also destroy an aquatic ecosystem. pH comes on a scale and measures how acidic or basic a liquid is. The scale ranges from 1 to 14. Liquids with a low pH are acidic and range on the scale from 1 to 6. Liquids with a high pH are basic and range on the scale from 8 to 14. Liquids with a pH of 7 are neutral, which is ideal for freshwater ecosystems. pH strips are convenient to test the pH of water and change color when dipped in liquid. These strips can be compared with a colorful scale for results. Changes in the pH of a pond can be caused by runoff from road salts or cleaning supplies, or even acid rain. What is acid rain? Acid rain is rainfall that has been made more acidic from air pollution. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide is just 2 of the main pollutants that are responsible for acid rain. The pollutants condense in the sky, mix with water vapor, and turn into clouds. When these clouds get too heavy, they release the water in the form of rain. There are many ways these air pollutants can be released. Some are natural and others human. Some natural sources include volcanic emissions, when volcanoes erupt and release gases in the air, or habitats, like bogs. While these are some legitimate sources of air pollution, the largest sources are human-made. Things like power stations, industrial plants, or the burning of fossil fuels produces so much air pollution, it's more than the Earth can combat. Here's an even bigger problem. Can air be contained? No, it can't. Air is shared around the Earth, and air pollution in one state, country, or even continent can be carried and deposited to another area as acid rain. These changes in pH can become intolerable for many animals. Some species are more sensitive than others. The loss of a species in the pond could change the entire food web, and lead to a decrease in other species and increase in others. We like to ensure that the habitats of the preserve are healthy, so we took our pH strips out to the pond to test the water, and the results is 7. That means that the pH of Delagan Pond is healthy enough for even the most sensitive species to live there. This is great news. If you thought the animals in this video were cool or interesting, we encourage you to visit Delagan Pond on Scout Road and try catching them yourself. Please remember that anything you catch from the pond should go back in, as aquatic animals are adapted to live in the pond and not our homes. Best of luck!
And how do I stop sharing? Right there. Okay, so this is just one of the many programs that we were able to create between March and now. And we like this program particularly because it takes something that's a problem on a global scale and brings it down to something in the local community. We were really happy and we found it a very rewarding experience for us to provide educational and entertaining programming during this time. And not that we slowed down or stopped our educational programming, but we just reimagined it and worked it in a different way. So thank you.
So thank you, Tori. It was very good, entertaining and educating video, and students learn it the best way because the way you have presented it and the relevance and the whole life cycle, and they connect the whole video with their curriculum and their day-to-day lives. I'm sure that you are contributing a lot to in your area. I'm sure that people from other countries can also access your video and access your activity, so they can incorporate your activity into their education system.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find us on Wilton Wildlife Preserve and Park on
Yes,
YouTube.
thank you. You are doing great. Now we have a new another speaker, Carla Boja. Carla, are you there? Yeah, Carla, she come from.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.